on a scale of
Okay.
1 to 10, how much do I look like Christopher Abbott? Other
Okay, I was actually gonna say you do have a Christopher Abbott face. I like it.
Chris, I have to say, every time one of your films come out, I get a text from a film critic friend that you're like, I guess I'm your doppelganger. So I don't know if you feel that way, but it's been an interesting couple of years getting texts from film critic friends.
How's your life changed?
I guess, I mean, it's cool. I mean, it's cool to tell people that, yeah, sure. Yeah. Maybe from like a side profile or something like that. But yeah.
Preston, you're a handsome guy. I don't mind. I like it.
Good.
And I like how we both have our corner posters.
Yeah. Celebrating the 80s.
Nice.
Yeah. I have to tell you, your performance in this is really incredible. I think probably next to your performance in Criminal Minds, this is the stuff that you've done.
Finally, someone recognizes my Criminal Minds performance.
It's
This
so
is
good.
shoved under the rug. No one cares.
Well,
Thank you for caring.
I appreciated it. Man, I love this movie so much. And I love movies that just go down odd rabbit holes and you can just like learn so much from it. And I feel like this film is something that provides a lot of insight into the mind of a creative artist, and whether that is a filmmaker or an actor. I'm curious if we were to show this film to your younger selves when you were starting out in this business, what sort of things would you take away from it?
I would say I really want to work with that guy in it, even as my younger self. I would go, man, I can't wait to work with him in the future. He's good. I mean, like I think also just as like an actor exercise too. I would also say like it'd be fun to play two different parts in the same movie and kind of get to like have that range.
Yeah, I think when I was younger, you know, you really, I think especially as a woman, you're like constantly coming up against this like idea of like the ingenue and how the ingenue has this like relationship with the director and whether or not it's like exploitative or controlling. And so I feel like, you know, that was something that I was like bumping up against in my early 20s a lot. And I think the film really explores the toxicity of those creative relationships really well. It's something that I really love about the film and really connected with.
Yeah.
So I think I would like it, appreciate it.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think, at that point, I don't think I would have even understood this movie. I mean, I think I would have, I don't think I would have understood it in a way that I do now, having shot so many independent films. I mean, I went to film school, and I've always been obsessed with filmmaking. So I think there's like definitely an element to this film that feels like, I mean, even when we were shooting it, like we kept saying, like, it feels like we're shooting like a student film in the woods. Like, it feels like we're just all like fresh out of NYU, like, you know, because at the end of the day, it's like, no matter what kind of budgets you have $10 million or $5 million, whatever, $100, it's like film sets are film sets, you know, and like people, it's all the same positions, it's all the same, you know, it's just a matter of scale. So I think I would have thought like, like that seems like a very extreme portrayal of independent filmmaking. But now that I'm 36 and I've done a lot of independent films, I'm like, it's pretty accurate. Yep, that sums it up. That pretty much sums it up.
Well, that's pretty scary.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Allison, she's such a fascinating character. By the way, is she at all, or is it just a coincidence that she's named Allison for Allison Jones?
No, actually, can you imagine if I named her Allison after Allison Jones? No, actually, the name was inspired by the costume designer on the film.
Oh, cool.
Allison Pierce. Yeah, because I won't say what the name was, but there was another name originally in the original script, and I just which it sounds very actory of me to say, but I just wasn't connecting with that name. And I said to Larry, like, I'd like to be called Allison if that's possible. And he was like, I don't care. And I was like, great. So Allison.
Okay,
Hi,
well,
everybody, I'm Allison.
well,
Yeah.
there's so many moments throughout the film, primarily probably in the first half of the film, where I just, because that's where a lot of the quiet moments are with your character, and I can't help but wonder, like, what is she thinking about? Like, when you read that in the script, when there are those moments that are just really quiet and you're just
hmm
alone with your thoughts, does that excite you that you can fill in those voids with whatever the hell you want?
Yeah. I mean, it's exciting and also scary and also kind of felt like a meditation. And I think especially when we shot the scene, me sitting on the dock looking out onto the water, um that was a cool moment for me because it felt very experimental, where it was like we didn't really know I didn't really know how they were going to use that shot. And because the movie kind of keeps going from different realities and kind of there's different layers happening, like it was like that was a very collaborative moment where it was like Larry, right there in my face, kind of going like, now you're thinking about this, now you're thinking about this, now you're thinking about this. And then he would just go, and I'm just going to let you go now, and you just
Right.
do what you got to do. So it was a combination of just like kind of just allowing myself to go there and to really just be present too, because there were moments that I would like I'd start laughing. I'm like, I don't know why I'm laughing. I have no idea why I'm laughing. I'm uncomfortable. I don't know. It was a very actor exercise.
There's so much to analyze with this film. I find it truly, truly fascinating. And I think what I was most taken by in this film was the poetic nature of it. There are parallel moments, there are certain images that pop up in one part of the film and then come up in another that give an entirely different feeling, along with a healthy dose of ambiguity. And so I'm curious, was there a particular poem or a piece of art that served as the framework that allowed you to build upon it with your own observations of this industry and this fantastical view, or am I completely off base?
No, but I'll tell you this. I had years ago, have you ever seen the movie or I guess the docuseries Wild Wild Country?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, about the cult.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was a cult or anything. So for years, I like listened to lectures by that guy, Osho. I listened to lectures by that guy Osho, and I also had a set of tarot that he put out.
Mhm.
And sitting on my computer was one of these tarot cards, one of these Osho tarot cards. I wrote the movie after that came out, so I already knew like who he was, but it didn't matter because I was into the teachings anyway, and it was confusing for me because I was just like, wow, this guy's terrible, but his teachings were cool. So anyway, I had this tarot from Osho's deck on my computer screen, or like just below my computer screen, and it was the image of somebody. It said trust,
Mhm.
and it was the image of somebody jumping into an abyss.
Oh, wow.
And then there was also an image from the same deck that I had on my computer. So I had two, and one was somebody sitting out looking at a body of water, and there was an image like that appeared above the like a lake.
Mhm.
So to answer your question, yes, but it wasn't a particularly elevated piece of work. It was just two cards from Osho's deck, the terrible cult leader.
Nice. Actually, speaking of Mark Duplass, I had a conversation with him.
Wait, what? Oh, because what did they
because
produce that?
he produced it, yeah.
I thought you were comparing him to a terrible cult leader.
Oh, no, 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 not
Really?
at all.
Is Mark a bad guy? He seems all right.
No, no, he's good. There was something he told to me that was really interesting. At the time, I was in college, and I had always asked this question or wrapped up with this question about like if you could teach a college course, what would you teach? And he said that he would make movies on a dime based off of those conversations that you have with friends at 2 a.m. in the morning when you're drinking wine. And I couldn't help but think of that specific moment when Allison, Gabe, and Blair are all sitting talking together in the first half of the film. And so I wonder, because you're a storyteller, do you have the capacity to, when you're in real life and you recognize these moments that maybe have like a cinematic quality to them, that just like Aubrey in the film says, I wish I had a recorder, I could record this entire conversation because it's so fascinating. Do you have the capacity to turn that off, or do you kind of log it every now and then?
I, I, I don't know that I have the ability to turn it off. It's more like I'm living through my life like everybody else, and oftentimes when something interests me that happens, I think, okay, this could be something that might make it into a movie, and I put it in my memory bank. And sometimes I write these things down, something that I think is either funny or emotionally resonant. For example, the second part of the movie came from two conversations that I had. The inspiration came from two conversations I had and a book that I read. I had a friend that was an actress, and she was complaining to me that her boyfriend, who was a director, never put her in his films. And then I had a separate conversation with him where he complained that she was always hassling him to put her in his films, and he felt like he would never do it because it meant she was using him or something. Or like it was a carrot that he was dangling at her to keep her with him or something like that. And it struck me as pretty interesting. And I thought, I wonder what if he put her in a movie and tortured her, as a passive aggressive kind of unfolding of this dynamic tension in their relationship.
Yeah.
And also I had just read Richard Brody's book on Jean-Luc Godard about the craziness of the sets of his early films.
Mhm.
So all that was kind of bumping around my mind, and I wrote an outline based on those concepts. So that kind of came from, so part two of this movie did come from direct things that I had heard and observed in life. So the answer is yes.
Yeah, I think, but like it's a weird line with that, because then I think if you're concerned too much with like logging it, then it almost would take you out of the moment. You
Right.
know what I mean, of what it is, and then all of a sudden you become more of like an observer of yourself in a moment. You're watching yourself interact. So and I do that, and I think we all do that. So it's a funny, I don't know, I think it's a little bit of a line to walk in those situations.
What in your opinion is the art to balancing ambiguity as a storyteller?
I don't know. That was a big question with this film, and I thought I originally had a very simple idea, which is I wanted to tell a story in two parts. One in which the main character would be a home wrecker in let's say the first section, and then she would have her home wrecked in the second.
Mm.
And how I could connect these two stories was a subject of a lot of thought for me. The simplest thing would have been to make part two a backstage drama about part one. But I thought that would be too pat, and it would kind of ruin the dreamlike atmosphere that was created by the first part. So what I wanted to do was create something that was open to many interpretations, sort of like a dream that sticks with you. And each time you think about it, you have a different interpretation of what it might mean.
Right.
I wanted the film to feel like that. I think a lot of movies really traffic in the illusion that life has a simple meaning, that simple morals can be conveyed, and that things add up and make sense. But in my opinion, that's nothing like life, and that life really doesn't add up and doesn't make sense. And more every day in American reality, at least, things just seem crazier and crazier. So I wanted to tell a film that I wanted to make a film that I thought was truthful in that way, that was true to the sort of meaningless, not meaninglessness, but the unreducibility, the irreducibility, sorry, of life. You know, at the same time, you run the risk of losing your audience if it's just disconnected events that don't make sense in any way, that are just sort of scattershot and bizarre. So it was definitely a dance between ambiguity and concrete reality.
There's an interesting, as we wrap up, there's an interesting question that was posed in the film about artists and thinking or not thinking about the work that you're involved in. Out of all the work that you guys have done, which one do you think about the most and find yourself most lost in?
I don't know if if for me, there's like a singular answer for that. I think that, you know, some jobs are really tough mentally. Some jobs are really tough physically. Some jobs you learn so much about yourself because of who you're working with, and some jobs you learn so much about yourself because you're just totally on your own. I really feel like, you know, when you're making movies, like it's really hard to find an experience that doesn't like change you or move you or contribute to your body of work, or like who you are as an artist and what your process is. So I know it's a shitty answer, but for me, I don't know if there is that one project. And I feel like also if there was, it's so personal, I wouldn't tell you.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I agree. Kind of like it's hard. Like it's sometimes you're not nostalgic about the end product of a movie. Sometimes you're more nostalgic about a certain time that was spent while doing it. You know, because I think that's really what it's about, right? Like nostalgia for something, being lost in something. So yeah, it's hard it's like different projects for different reasons. You know what I mean? It's like, I mean, when I did Catch 22, it was a miniseries I shot in Italy for like 4 months. So that was like obviously a very beautiful place to shoot. It was very memorable. It was a long job. It was summer. It was hot. So there was like a lot of, you know, I have a lot of memories just from that. Yeah, I don't know. It's a hard one to answer, but good one. Nice one. Good question, Preston. What's the movie poster behind you?
It's
What is that?
Bad, from the BMX movie from 1986.
Okay.